Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another installment of our series, Learning from Liaisons, Evictions, ARP Strategies, and more. Today, we're going to be going to Canton City, Ohio, and we have two special guests. We have Lisa Warden, a McKinney Vento liaison for the Canton City School District in Ohio, and a partner, her community partner, who's going to be sharing with us about, what they've been able to do together. Ronnie Turpin, the Director of Housing Services for the Alliance for Children and Families, also located in Ohio, of course. Before I turn over to our guests, I just want to welcome everyone back if this isn't your first time joining us, and of course, a special welcome to those who are joining us for the first time, and just take care of a couple of housekeeping things really quickly. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar, you can look to the right-hand side of your screen for the GoToWebinar control panel, and you can go in the questions pane and drop your question in there, and we will be taking those and answering those throughout the webinar. Also, this webinar will be recorded, so a recording of the webinar will be sent out to everyone in their emails, and it will also be able to be accessed on our website, www.schoolhouseconnection.org, under our archived webinars. We also have a handout that you can find at the bottom of your screen too in the control panel, and it just has some resources for eviction related strategies, ARP. So feel free to indulge in those as well, and those will also be able to be found on our website. But without further ado, let's go to our guest today. So Lisa and Ronnie, can you guys go ahead and tell us a little bit about your roles, your community, and some of the trends that you've been seeing thus far?
Yes, hello, thank you. Thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be here, and the partnership with Schoolhouse Connection has just been fabulous, and all of the valuable resources that we get from you all. So thank you so much for allowing us to join you today. As you said, I'm the McKinney Vento Homeless Education Liaison for the Canton City School District. And I work a great deal with community partners to just make sure that the resources that our families need outside of their children's education comes together as a complete wraparound for our children and youth experiencing homelessness, because we know that is the key for keeping these kiddos in school. So, when COVID hit, we started seeing these trends of families really going into crisis and not only worried about when they were going to be able to pay their rent or how they were going to pay it, but were they even going to be able to stay in their homes? So we knew going into this, we were going to face a crisis. And so working with our Stark Housing Network and our Continuum of Care, we were able to really bridge some of the gaps that we knew that we would see, and start some immediate referrals from our school district and working with partners such as Ronnie and Alliance for Children and Families. So we'll let Ronnie explain a little bit about her role and how this partnership has come together over the past 2 school years.
Hello, my name is Ronnie Turpin. I am I'm the panelist said, or the introduction said, that I am the Director of Housing Services here at Alliance for Children and Families. This is a new role for me. Last year, I started off as a case manager doing the TANF coordination, and that was a big grant that we were able to bring to Stark County for the families here to help with the rental assistance and homeless prevention. We also assisted with utilities and different things like that. So let's see. We've been doing this for a full year. We started last October, and we ended our first cycle at the end of June, and then we picked up again. So we have another round of money that we are helping with individuals with now. The partnership has been great with Lisa we've been able to, we've had about 60 families, I think, Lisa, that was kind of introduced to us, and we were able to, pretty much keep some people housed. We were able to lease individuals up. So it's been, pretty good.
Yeah, so just from October 2020 through May 2021, which is when we first started working through this process of getting these referrals in, we were able to refer just from the school district. And these are great numbers, so I get very excited when I share this data. So we were able to refer 61 families for homeless prevention. Out of those 61, we were able to get prevention at the time of referral for 20 of those families. 11 of those families out of the 60, so 20 were referred for homeless prevention and able to stay in their homes. 11 were housed or rehoused through these prevention dollars for various reasons. We did have about 22 families that just did not follow through with the process. And so Ronnie and I have been brainstorming this year of how are we going to be able to work a little more for that follow through, and just kind of give those parents and those families maybe the nudge that they need. And we still have 7 families that are in search of housing that were referred to the program. And so even though that first cycle of money ended, we do have as Ronnie stated, there's another round in there now. And so we'll be able to reach out to those families and see once they are able to find housing, or maybe there's another area that we're able to help them, we'll be able to get those families reapplied for the services. So that's great, just that we're able to continue moving forward. It's just not a one and done type program. We are able to keep families moving through, either through Alliance for Children and Families or through other referral areas. So we're just all working together as a community to make that happen.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I just wanted to see, just for the edification of our viewers, if you guys can share what this funding stream was, like how you guys were able to access it for these families, and just any tips there.
Ronnie, would you like me to speak a little?
Yeah, go ahead, Lisa. That's fine.
Well, you're going to know more about the funding, but I know it's the Housing Now for Homeless Families, and it's TANF funding. And so, Ronnie, maybe you can talk a little bit more about the grant and how it was received.
So we were able, our director actually, wrote the grant and was able to get the grant money for the agency. Sorry. So that's how we were, we're able to get the money through a grant that she had wrote for that, and we just rolled it out last year.
Who did that funding come directly from, Ronnie? Do you know? Is it?
Oh, it came from the Ohio Department, from Cohio. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It was from Cohio. Yep.
No worries. Just so everyone knows, the TANF dollars that they're referring to are temporary assistance for needy families funds that they were able to tap into and use for these families, which is amazing. So can you guys share a little bit more about how I know you mentioned that you want to do some more outreach to like the 22 families who weren't able to follow through the process, but how were you able to inform families in the first place? How were you able to identify them, those ones who were facing eviction, and inform them of the assistance initially?
So what had happened was when COVID hit and we were facing a school closure, our Stark Housing Network formed a task force. So we were on a call every single Monday. Well, actually, we were on a daily call for a long time, and then we moved to once a week. But we were on a daily call, And so we were bringing all of the shelter agencies in, the health department, many community partners that interact with our families that are experiencing homelessness. And so one piece of that was to bring, was for me to be on the call from the educational perspective for the school system, being the largest school system in Stark County. So when we started these calls, just a lot of these things came out, and I said, how can we get our families assistance? So we knew assistance was coming. How can we get ahead of it? And so one of the things that all of our homeless prevention programs run through our coordinated entry system, so through our homeless hotline. And so what we were able to do is the homeless hotline was able to set up a pre-screening tool for me. So as our schools, we have community workers in all of our schools. So I'll back up a little bit. Our schools were doing wellness calls to all of our families because of the school closure. And so as they were doing these wellness calls, we built in a question about housing. Are you afraid that you're going to have to leave your home, and those kinds of things. And so if the families answered yes, then I was alerted to that so that we could do some additional outreach. And so knowing this funding was coming in, we were able to start setting up these homeless prevention appointments. And so they would speak with me, I would do a pre-screening, it would then go to the coordinated entry system and then be referred to the agency. And then so what I really wanted to be able to do is then follow up on these referrals to make sure that the families were getting the assistance, and if they weren't, what were the barriers to that? And that's when Ronnie and I started meeting weekly to start talking about the families that were referred. So the referrals were coming in from the schools, and then from there, I was taking the lead and I was setting up the appointments weekly to start trying to help these families.
Awesome. And so speaking back to your partnership with Ronnie, I wanted to see if we can back up a little bit. And I wanted to ask Ronnie if you could tell us a little bit about the Alliance for Children and Families, just for everyone knows so that they can look for similar organizations in their own communities. What, like the scope of the organization, is it local to a specific county or region, or is it statewide? And for both of you guys, how were you able to connect with each other initially?
Well, I was introduced to Lisa Warden through another director that we had. But the agency, we provide permanent supportive housing, and we also do affordable housing for individuals. We have a family health center here. The agency, there's a lot of different things that goes on here. We do homeless prevention program. We have homeless prevention programs. There's a clinic available. We have 2 buildings, and one in Canton, and we also have one in Alliance. Our main office is located in Alliance, which is part of Stark County. We are also branching out a little bit into Mahoney County right now with some of our TANF funds. There's just a lot that goes on here. If that answers your question.
So we were connected through our homeless continuum of care. So I work with all of the area homeless shelters to make sure, obviously, that our kids are registered for school and transportation is set up. And so that's really how I started working with Alliance for Children and Families, was really through the shelter and providing tutoring services in the shelters and those types of things. But then as I learned more about the organization, it was just an absolute win-win when we started with the homeless prevention program. I was like, wow, I already know them. I already work with them. This is an exciting opportunity for us to partner and really be able to just close some of the gaps that our families may be experiencing. So it became not just a a referral from the school to say, hey, call this agency. It became a very warm handoff. And I think that really is key to connecting our families, so that because, and I believe, you know, I've mentioned this before to several folks, is that it's very scary when you say to a family, you have to call the homeless hotline first. That really is difficult for our families. And so being able to sit down with the family and do that pre-screening for the hotline and explain to them, when you call the hotline, these are the things that they're going to be asking you. And this is why they're asking you those questions, because it's very invasive for our families. And so we just wanted to make sure we were doing that warm handoff and not just saying, here's a phone number, call it.
Awesome. And speaking about the pre-screening tool, we actually have a question. Someone saying that they're in Toledo and they're wondering if you could share the pre-screening tool with them. So I think that that's something that we can do in follow-up if you're able to, Lisa.
Yeah, so I will not actually be able to share the link because it does go back to our coordinated entry system, but I will definitely kind of copy those questions off so that you could see what that might look like. And I'll share that with you.
Awesome. And one more question. So related to the families that you guys have been able to help so far, were any of the families living in shelters for domestic violence or in hotels? Where were they living at the time?
So yes, so all of the above. We had some families that were housed from shelters. We had some families that were in doubled up situations that we were able to get housed, or even be able to help the family that they were living with some of their expenses, so that they did not also face an eviction. And we were also able to help families get out of hotels and get into housing. So really we were working with families that were already housed and preventing eviction, and helping with utilities so that they didn't face that, and families that were currently homeless to get them housed.
Great, thank you. Okay, so shifting gears a little bit to American Rescue Plan Act funds. So I was wondering if Lisa, if you could go ahead and share with us some of the ideas that you have for using the American Rescue Plan Act Homeless Children and Youth Funds in your school district. And just for anyone who's wondering, this refers to the $800 million that was included in the American Rescue Plan Act, which was the last COVID relief package, specifically for identifying and meeting the needs of and providing wraparound services to children and youth who are experiencing homelessness through schools specifically.
Yes, so my plan, and again, this is in the beginning stages, but I'm very, very excited about it, is to, the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to work with one of our area nonprofits, and we will be doing an MOU with them to hire a housing navigator. So we will have someone that will be able to kind of take this program, this partnership that we started with Alliance for Children and Families and other agencies, and they're going to be able to work with our families to get them to that finish line and work with the agencies. Because as you can imagine, as the district's homeless liaison, it's hard to navigate all of that and still work with our families on the current educational needs for their children. So I'm just trying to add some additional resources so that the families can get the care and attention that they need. So Housing Navigator was really the first thing on my mind. Our Housing Navigator that we're looking to put into our program would be able to work with area landlords and work with our families, and just to really do a lot of hand holding for these families to help navigate this system that is so difficult to understand at times, and to just be able to remove some of the barriers that is preventing them from getting housing, basically. And so we just want to continue to work with them. The other piece of it is we are looking to build a community resource center in our district. If maybe one of our current buildings, maybe something that we look to a partner to use, an existing building that a partner may have. We're still in the early stages of this. But our plan is then to be able to bring in our housing navigator and myself and all of the resources that we currently have, clothing, hygiene, food, have it in one location. And then once a week, we would have what we call an impact day. And on that day, community partners that would like to join us would be there. And families, it would be a walk-in day for our families. So they could come in, they would be able to access those community partners all in one location, and really start doing these wraparound services for families, and just a lot of warm hand-holding, warm handoffs to agencies, and just a very comfortable environment for them. So more to come on that. I'm really excited to even be able to share that little bit of information. But so the initial, back to your original question, the ARP dollars, the initial will be to start with a housing navigator and some other resources and staff that we may need to start, building this program. And then sustainability will come along the lines with our community partners that we hope to implement into the program. So very excited, and more to come on that one.
Definitely very exciting. And I can see on your face when you're speaking about it, you just light up. Oh, no, we're all excited, I'm sure. So we actually have a question about that. Does your area currently have any housing navigators? And would this be specific for referrals from the schools? And also, where are you able to find moving costs for the navigators to work with?
Okay, so our navigator, the navigator that we're looking to hire will be specific for the school. All of the referrals will come through me. Hopefully that program is going to grow, and we're going to see other communities or other school districts maybe tap into that resources, and I would love to see it countywide. For right now, we're looking at just having this for a school-based, potentially at we have some options here. We can do, the navigator could be in-house with us, but it could also be at the office of the partner that we're looking to have with us, which is very close to our school, our administrative offices. So we're kind of teetering back what that'll look like right now. And what was the last part of the question?
Where are you able to find move-in costs? I believe for families, like the move-in costs for like apartments, like for the housing navigator to kind of work with when they're assisting families.
So they will be working with agencies such as Alliance for Children and Families or other agencies that have the current homeless prevention funds. And there's millions of dollars out there. So I think just tapping into if you have a homeless continuum of care in your area, or a homeless hotline, just kind of reaching out to them to find out what homeless prevention dollars may be available within your community.
Awesome. So we have another question going back to the TANF dollars. Basically, what kind of assistance package are you able to use or put together for families using the TANF funds, like for example, like a deposit and 1 month's rent? And has this assistance been enough of a lift for the families that you've been serving?
So with the TANF dollars, we have been able to assist individuals with 4 months of rent and 4 months of utility assistance. That includes, like if they were moving into a place, we can do first month's rent, deposit, and 2 additional months of rent. We also assist with the deposits for utilities if they're having some issues with getting their services connected. We do that. So it's 4 months total for rent, and then it's 4 months total for each utility. And then we also, like, I think you were asking, where do we get those individuals? The names, we get those from the homeless navigation, and we have like a special populations list, and that list is prioritized, and we go through the list and we pull, and then I assign to my case managers. Sometimes I work cases, but we do have 3 case managers here who take on those clients and assisting them.
So as Ronnie said, they work with our county homeless navigation system and our coordinated entry system. So the referral, so when I'm talking about the 62 referrals, those were ones that were referred to the coordinated entry system, but I keep track of those so that Ronnie and I can then come back and discuss those individually. So I don't tap into they receive hundreds of referrals. So we're just, yes. And probably more than that, Ronnie, it might be in the thousands, but
yes,
I'll let you answer that.
Yep. Go ahead. So, no, I was going to say we had about 3,000 families that we assisted. Not families, but individuals, but that included families. So there was quite a few.
Mm-hmm. So that's where so that's what's so unique about this program is even though it's a countywide program, we're able to really build these individualized partnerships and really have some, extra check-in on our families as we're going through this. And what's really exciting is that, this is an Alliance for Children and Families is not the only agency administering funds like this. So as we're going through and we're learning about things, I feel that even more partnerships can be developed, and that's why those impact days are going to be so important, that we can bring everyone into one place and really be able to let our housing navigator work with multiple agencies. So this is just one of the many partnerships I hope to build out of this. And, I really want to give a shout out to our homeless continuum of care here in Stark County and our Stark Housing Network. If it weren't for them and being so welcoming to me from the school district, really these partnerships would not be where they are. So they were really the starting point for all of this, and we're just building as we go, and it's just very exciting. And coming up, our housing network has started an evaluation project for homeless prevention. So there's going to be there's another committee that's being formed, and they've asked me to sit in on that so that we can talk about, there's no perfect system. And so when we're talking about agencies and funding, it's never perfect. And so being a voice for the families that are experiencing it is really key. And so I'm honored that they've asked me to sit in on that project as well, and very excited about that and what can come from that.
That is exciting. So we have another question with another liaison who's actually also in Toledo, who's dealing with a situation where they had a family who called in 211 and shelters, but has been given a very long wait time of 2 to 4 months. So just asking if you have any ideas on like how to help with that, or any ideas for like what you might be able to do in that situation, or what you would do in that situation.
So a wait list for housing?
I believe for shelters.
For shelters. Those situations get very tough. I know that here in Stark County, our Children's Services Department will pay for hotel stays until families can get into shelter. So that would be one area you could ask about. The other would be, do any of your homeless prevention dollars, or Ronnie, help me. I know there's another funding source that can help with hotel stays. What is the?
That was ESG, CV, or CV, ESG, CV. They would assist with hotels.
So if there's any agency within your county that has ESG funds, maybe check with them to see if they could step in with some help for that hotel stay. And I know that if you did receive any of the ARP homeless round $1 or $2, that can be used for some emergency hotel stays if you're having to get through, some time frame. So tough situations. Those are probably the toughest that we face when our families cannot get into shelter. So I feel you, and I wish you the best of luck with that one.
Yeah.
Thank you both. And just to tack on to that, emergency rental assistance funds that's offered by the Department of Treasury, those funds are also eligible to be used for emergency hotel and motel stays. So that's something that you can also look into possibly for the family, or maybe assisting them with filling out those applications for that specific purpose. So, but yeah, definitely I'll wish you the best of luck. But okay, while we wait to see if there are any other questions that come in, Lisa and Ronnie, I just want to ask you guys if there is one thing that you'd like to leave with the audience today, or it could be two things, whichever you prefer, that you'd like to leave with the audience on eviction response in their communities and how they can implement similar strategies that you've been using in their communities, or something related to ARP, what would it be?
For me, it's get in front of any community partner or group that you can and have a voice for your families. If we don't put it out there and say that it's real, people don't realize. But when they hear the real stories and they see your commitment and your passion for your work, it truly makes a difference.
I would say definitely research resources so that you are able to, to give your clients, a hand up, you know what I'm saying? So you're not like, well, I just don't know, I'm not sure, just, resource, find out those resources in the community that's available. That's what I would say.
Thank you both so much. Great advice. And I will also add that you guys are receiving praise in the chat box for all the wonderful work that you're doing. So, and I would like to second that, maybe even third it, for all that you guys have been doing and all the great things that you've been sharing with everyone. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing all this great advice. And just so everyone knows that this is something that you can all look out for. So we are actually compiling an eviction response tip sheet where we're going to be compiling all of the great things that we've been hearing from the series so far, and we can hopefully put we can hopefully add in the script for the pre-screening tool in there as well, so you could look out for that as well. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. Lisa, Ronnie, thank you both again for sharing such great things, and I think that we can conclude our webinar today, and I hope everyone enjoys of their day.
Thank you
so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.